G'day, this is Captainoob, and this is an AKM. The AKM was designed to be a successor to the immensely popular and well-renowned AK-47. It was a bit lighter, a little bit more accurate, and slightly more reliable than its predecessor, so an improvement all round. Still chambered in the big 7.62 Russian rounds. In this mod, they've just replaced that with 308, so it's easy to get, but you could easily just get a Nuka World patch for this to make it use the 7.62 rounds from the handmade rifles in the Nuka World DLC, and I think that'll be just fine. There's probably also multiple caliber patches to utilize with this thing. It's got custom sounds and animations. I think we've seen the animations and heard the sounds before, but this is a different take on the AKM series of weapons, and there's a couple of different variants of this, and we'll get to that as we get to that, but there's also presets when you craft them, and we'll get to that a little bit later, but let's just get into the attachments, and we'll start off. So right now I've got a standard receiver. The best receiver, you just scroll all the way down here, go to the milled parts. That's the strongest thing there, getting 163 damage out of that thing at an automatic platform. As far as I'm aware, you can't make this semi-auto, so that is how we are going to go. It also improves our range a little bit, but the stripped one gives you a whole lot more range. Factory condition is great, but we're going to go for maximum damage here because that's just going to make it better. Next up, we've got the barrels. Right now, we've got an AKM barrel. You can have a compact one, which will turn this into an AK-74U, which is one of the variants of this. There's also an RPK version, which is a longer barrel, better for sustained fire, slightly more accurate over range due to its length. It gives you a nice little boost in accuracy and range as a result of that. But if you scroll all the way down here, there's a PSL barrel, which is a little bit like a Dragunov. So that's pretty cool, and they give us an immense bonus to range and accuracy, so we'll throw that on. There's also an integral suppressor there, but honestly, that looks kind of silly. We'll go for this one. It's going to have like a discount Dragunov. Dragunov, something like that. I was about to say Dragunova, like the character from XCOM 2, but that's not it. So we've got grips. It'll just change the grip underneath the the actual triggered pistol grip. This one gives you better recoil control, so we'll throw that on. It's not really something you can see in first person, so more of an aesthetic change there, but there's something going on a little bit. Right now, I've got a magazine, 30 rounds on the 7.62. You can have it chambered in 5.45, which is the Russian equivalent. So you can have it in the NATO 5.56s. You have a 10mm auto, which puts a little converter on there, reduces your damage but increases your fire rate. Reduces your range too because the rounds aren't as heavy. And then you can have a giant drum magazine of the 7.62 rounds, so I feel like that's a pretty good idea. And also different variants of this one. You can also have the SOCOM rounds, which are a 10-round magazine, and it'll probably change it to semi-auto when you choose to do that, but maybe we'll wait a little bit later on to utilize those rounds. For now, I want to chuck on a big old drum on this thing, and then we'll move on. There's also this one. Yeah, we've seen that magazine before. It's very cursed, and I don't want to use it. That's just immersion breaking, bro. Alright, so we've got the sights now. I've got iron sights, alternate versions of that, and a whole bunch of reflex sights, some of which are attached just the top of the alternate iron sights, and there's some actual, like, AK connectors, these cheap things that they're replacing because they fall apart. They're no good. The commies don't know how to make good guns. Now, there's a couple of things worth mentioning here. I like the PSO scopes because that's the ones you used to get on the Russian guns in Battlefield 3, so it suits a AK like this fairly immensely, but if 4 times isn't enough for you, you can also grab a 6 times scope there, which is pretty good. I believe that is the equivalent of a medium scope in the vanilla game, but we'll go for a PSO because it's a Russian scope for a Russian gun. Alright, we've got muzzles now. Muzzle brakes, flash hiders, you name it, it's there. There's also suppressors, which do give you the ability to increase your range with a heavy suppressor and accuracy. Also damage thanks to your ace operator, always a nice thing when mod authors allow that perk to work. Now the gun's too long for the screen, but we'll press on. Legendary effect is there if you need it. We'll move on from that. And the best rounds here I've found are the heavy rounds. They just give you a big boost of damage. A modest boost of damage, but you don't have to worry about any drawbacks apart from this thing being slightly heavier, which is 0.2 pounds heavier for a little bit of extra damage. That's a pretty good trade-off. There's also high velocity, will reduce your damage, but increase your range to amounts where you probably hit everything you can see in VATS. If you're in VATS range, it'll probably be a 95%. So if you don't feel like aiming at all, then that's a pretty good choice to do that. But for a dedicated sniper thing like this, you might think that it's a good choice. But we're going to go for the most damaging rounds at 222. And we can have a flashlight or a laser sight on if we feel like it. It'll increase our accuracy stat a little bit, perhaps slightly better advanced. Is that clipping through the suppressor? It is. Just ignore that, don't worry about it. And you can change the reticule on your scope. I'm not going to mess around with that, we'll leave that as normal. And last but not least, you get the stocks, which this is a skeletal stock. Apparently, Americans don't say it like that, but that's the right way of saying it. That's more of like an AK-74U sort of stock there, nice and light and make a compact weapon. But if you go all the way down here, you can find a Dragunov sniper stock. So it's going to be like a full auto Dragunov with a drum. If you think I'm mad, don't you worry. This is a proven effective method. Any commando gun in this game that can have a scope with low recoil is going to be devastating. And you can have a bipod on. And why wouldn't we? Better recoil control at the cost of mobility. We're not going to be moving around. I'm going to plant this thing underneath some sort of shadow and shoot them, but just mow them down from a distance. And there's our AKM, slightly more Dragunov than AKM at this stage, but the receiver looks all wrong, so it's kind of cursed looking, don't you think? Also, before I go, this thing's also got a free sidearm. You just get this along with the mod because I guess I didn't want to release this thing by itself because it's not interesting enough. Not really sure, but the receiver's pretty much the same stuff that is going on there. 126 damage. You can have an improved barrel to increase your range. A tactical stock maybe is a little bit too much. A comfort grip is a little bit like the deliverer there with the 2 options and then the stock as an extra. You can have iron sights, a reflex sight on the front, or a 4x scope on a pistol, which very little range. Perhaps a little bit overkill. We'll just go for a reflex sight. And you can have a suppressor on this one, including an oil filter suppressor if you feel like it. We'll go with a covert suppressor. A nice sneaky pistol, and you can do the same things. Another thing you might want to check out is hollow point, but they will reduce your range, and on a pistol this thing's already got pretty poor range already, so yeah, heavy rounds just for all round bonus. But there's also depleted uranium rounds, which are fun. A little bit of radiation damage, deadly against humans, but not much else. Incendiary, there's also some high explosives as well. Sometimes these work, and sometimes you attach a suppressor and they don't. I could argue that I want to put on some high explosive rounds, but no, we'll leave it. And a reticle change is there if you want it, but we're going to leave that as default. Okay, let's talk about crafting. So you got a couple of different options. You can just cheat and get all of these stuff for free if you want to mess around like I'm doing right now and figure out what they're all about, then that's a really good choice. But if you've got some resources to burn, you got a couple of different options for crafting these. You can either do a 1-to-1 round conversion. This is a 5.56 for the 458 SOCOM rounds. And then these ones, 5.56 again, and the 7.62s you do with 308s. Actually, excuse me, no, that's the Tokarev rounds. That's the rounds for the pistol. That's why they look like pistol cartridges. Sweet. Is that hollow point there? Looks like it. Anyways, so you've got the presets to craft these things. If you want an AKM out the factory, out of the chemistry workbench, then you can have that, or an AK-74U, or a RPK. We'll be using one of each of these as we get into it, but they won't require any gun nut ranks, just a couple of components that you'll find heaps of, including lead. You'd save all the lead for the bullets, wouldn't you? Okay, as an update, the 458 SOCOM rounds still fire in full auto, so you're going to be reloading often, so not recommending these rounds. Welcome to the Immersive Gunners Plaza once again. Here is our AKM automatic Dragunov looking thing in first person. The scope's right in our face, but that's okay because it's not a see-through scope. It's a nice TV scope. Yeah, we're going to lose field of view around it, but I don't have to worry about recoil animations. There's the reload animation, if you're wondering, and I've made a couple of others, including this one, the AK-74U. This one goes back to Battlefield 3. It's the proper Battlefield 3 loadout. You got the copper red dot sight, laser sight, and foregrip combination. No muzzle attachment, just the standard muzzle brake that you get on an AK-74U. And look, it's got explosive rounds. Now, I've limited the amount of bullets I can carry on this thing just so I'm not flogging explosive bullets all video. But, you know, we've got to show these off. I don't usually do it, so we'll have a limited go at it today. And here is an RPK with a PKA holo. It's PKS or something like that. It's a PK something, but it's also got some tactical model attachments hidden at the back, which you can't even see in first person unless you really look for it, but don't look at it. And lastly, the pistol, which doesn't show up in first person, but in third person it wants to go, and that slider's moving by itself. That's kind of weird. Yeah, for some reason, this thing just doesn't exist in first person, so it's a third person only type deal. Weird, huh? I don't know what's going on with that, but we'll press on, and we're gonna get started here by sitting in the cheap spot under the cover of darkness provided by this trailer, and I guess we'll just like hold the trigger down and see what we can do with this thing. Couple of deadly things in this brutal combination. You've got a high rate of fire, good. Low recoil, good. High damage, good. And high accuracy. And over range, a scope sort of supplements that high accuracy, so I can just mow down things like a long-range machine gunner. And honestly, this is probably the most effective way you can run automatic rifles for like a stealth playstyle. Obviously, in the vanilla game, your options are a little bit less devastating than this, but even something like a handmade rifle, give that a suppressor and it's probably be kicking a little bit less. There's a little bit of screen shake going on, you know, to simulate the recoil, but the muzzle's not moving anywhere at all. If I was using a version without a suppressor and with a different... Hang on, I think they've spotted some creatures out there that might be ruining my stealth game. Not cool, bro. Okay, I think we're back on it, but yeah, the job's pretty much done already. Oh, there's a tactical over there. We'll take him out. And even those guys all the way back there, if I can see them and put the crosshair on them and just hold down the trigger for a bit, eventually I'm going to get them. And even if they have their tiniest little bit of their heads out of cover, I can just knock them right off. Anyways, time to move on to something different. Here we go. So this one here is the AK-740, the short-barreled version. 5.56 rounds, but supplemented by the explosive ammunitions on it. It's not devastatingly powerful. I'm used to a little bit more power out of my explosives, but that's fine. In fact, I'm barely doing anything with the explosive strikes. The direct hits, though, are definitely doing a good job. And we don't have a lot of these bullets, so we'll use these, and then we'll switch on to the RPK, perhaps. There we go. And we've only got just over 100 of these things left, so may as well just hold down the trigger. If they're backed up against a wall like that, if I'm missing, I'm generally hitting, so that'll be fine. And, whoops, just over 2 mags, under 2 mags left at this stage. Could have gotten a tactical reload patch for this, I reckon. Gonna have to pull that charging handle back every time, but that's fine. There we go. The last 27 bullets of the explosive power, and we'll try to pick off everyone over on this side if we can. This would be a perfect time to use the scoped version, but that, well, we can attribute to that one to being the version with the explosive rounds, because Ricochet finished the job. But now we don't have Ace Operator boosting our damage with this thing. We should have slightly better accuracy over range because of the range stat wouldn't be so cut off. But look at that, that's pretty good. That's a pretty half decent shot at like 83%. And we're not getting any XCOM 2 elevation bonuses either, so isn't that great? He's taking effective cover behind that, and ooh, the flanks are on. We'll just go and hip fire this person up close. So the DPS on this thing, no problems whatsoever. It doesn't feel particularly overpowered either. We are using the fairly expensive and potentially uncommon, at least for not super endgame scenarios, 308 ammo, and it is kicking a little bit without the suppressor and all of the recoil helping things, and I think I finally got that guy. But things are going pretty well. So well that I'm going to bring out the pistol, but in third person, of course, as we quickly run over to where these gunners are. There you are. That was only a baby gunner conscript. Oh, I can't even reload in third person. Well, that's just weird, isn't it? I have to lockpick from back here because if I'm too close, I Am I clipping into those dudes? I don't know. But they're all poking their guns outside. And whoops, reload there. So 8-round magazine. Power is okay. You get a lot better ammo capacity out of a deliverer, but pretty less power. Probably better if I was sneaking, to be honest. And I keep canceling my reloads, and I don't know why. If I click again, it'll cancel the reload, then it'll be a little bit of a pause. So maybe that's why I'm not using third person so much anymore. Anyways, that's that done, and we put the gun away. Classic holstered weapons, kind of a big iron, but yeah, you can wear the AKs on your back. Just like that, like Ivan, all at once. Don't need to reload when you're carrying around 17 rifles, do you? And if you thought that the overpowered automatic scoped Dragunov wasn't bad enough, well, I've got some news for you as I try to kill this suicider who is invisible. Nope, there he is. Okay, I'm in danger, but that's fine because there is a giant behemoth down there. Looks like he's pissed off some ghouls and shit. He's taken them out. But there's a Deathclaw down there. We'll just, you know, just casually knock him down like we're firing a semi-automatic sniper with the fire rate of this. I probably couldn't consistently click this fast, so despite not getting the sneak criticals, he's not going anywhere. He's as good as dead. And now we can go back to hitting that guy. No, the Deathclaw's still up. There he goes. And now we can hit this guy with crits, with sneak crits, and he just can't get up. There is nothing he can do. If we're aiming down sights and we get a cheap little knockdown, he's going to pretty much stay down for the rest of his little tenure there. Dear oh dear, Mr. Swan. Not a good day to be a giant behemoth, is it? But I think we can do it cleaner than that, so we'll try again on something that's not as strong. Alright, now for a true test of accuracy and stopping power. Yep, you're on the ground now, and probably in less than a magazine. Okay, see ya. Cheap Wendigo kill today. Yep. That's how we like to do it. So maybe we'll try something a little bit different, shall we? Okay, time to do this James Bond style, but in third person, because, you know, using the gun is a pretty good idea to survive. But we gotta sneak, use all our stealthy powers. Good old hit scan weaponry with a tiny little... Ooh, I hit the light post instead of that guy. Well, that's no good. Now he's got away. Actually, that guy's been surprisingly resistant to my bullets, but a silenced pistol, it'll do a good job at cleaning up these guys, that's for sure. Question is... Oh, there's one. Lousy third-person camera angles making my aim go a little bit off. Just a little bit of discrepancy between where I'm aiming and where the camera is causes those things. Less of a problem in third person, of course, but first person, but looks like I've got one up here in the lookout still. Okay, well, I don't really know where I went wrong there, but I think that's fine. Uh-oh, the commie spy satellite, or light in general, was on me, so got to take that out. Welcome to Golden Knight. Was that a reload in midair there? I think that was interesting. Anyways, this my alert queen, she'll go down fairly quickly to the might of this James Bond pistol style approach here, because obviously it's only a little baby Mirelurk queen. Alright, so things are going pretty well. Keep instinctively going back into first person, but that's not working for me. Now, on to the main crux. Can we kill this giant crab? And we've got a couple of tricks up our sleeve for this. It's called using VATs over and over. That's good. Keep them coming. Keep those crits coming. And since it's a pistol, you could use it in VATs from Monday to Sunday and still have enough AP to sprint back from KFC, so isn't that nice? And as it creeps slowly into range, you might be able to get some better damage on it. Not quite. We'll let concentrated fire take over. Been pretty lucky so far. That should be 95% now. We missed a single shot in VATS yet? I would say no, so that's pretty good. And Old Bait Crab's got no idea where I am. I don't usually go for a suppressed pistol approach to this, but here we go. It's like we're flipping in empty magazines and realizing, oh, maybe I should put a new one in there that's actually got bullets in it. There we go, there's the first miss. Look, I think you get the point. If I was using the stealthy automatic Dragunov thing at the moment, I probably would have killed this dude already. So let's bring out the RPK and bring it home, shall we? And dude, I'm right here. Come on. We get a half decent shot at the head. Kind of a roughie, but much less in the way of AP. That's so much better. Come on, I'm right here. What if I shoot at your lobster friend? Do you care? Hello? No, he's out of here. He knows this fight's already over. Look, it's your own fault that you couldn't find me for like 10 minutes there, mate. And it'd be cool if there was like a COD-esque reload where you literally just throw the magazine off to the side. We stood our ground there and was able to take out the giant crab. Okay, I think you get the idea. So the AKM Complex, it's just a really good mod. Whether you prefer it to other AK mods, which there are many, that's kind of up to you. But it's a really well put together. The weapon's solid. You could probably argue that it's overpowered if you do it in the right thing, but that's heavy perk investment to get that to work properly. And whether the mod authors go around and test it with these types of things or just don't, I'm not really sure. But you could really make it one of the most powerful weapons you could ever find in a modded gun. So if you like it just for the power value, then there's plenty of appeal there. And of course it's an AK and like lore friendly because they're like weird RPD Chinese assault rifles in Fallout 3. So therefore, for some reason, AK-47s and the like, their successors happen to be just fine, fair game. So there's that. But yeah, I highly recommend this mod. Whether you like it better than AKs is up to other AKs is up to you. But if you've got room for it, I highly suggest checking it out. And with that, that's it for me. Thank you very much for watching, guys.